I found the text messages on a Tuesday morning while Isabella was in the shower. Her phone had been buzzing on the nightstand for the past hour and I was trying to sleep in on my day off. When I finally reached over to silence it, I saw the name. Benjamin, my brother, the preview showed enough. I love you too. Can't wait until this is over and we can finally be together for real. My hands went numb. I sat there in our bed, the bed we had shared for 12 years, the bed where we had laughed and cried and made love and made plans, the bed where she had looked me in the eyes just 3 nights ago and told me she was committed to making our marriage work. That bed suddenly felt like it belonged to someone else, like I was the guest in my own life. I did not confront her that morning. I know that sounds weak, but I needed time to think, to process, to figure out if what I saw meant what I thought it meant. Maybe I was being paranoid, maybe there was an explanation, so I took a screenshot and sent it to myself. Then I deleted the evidence from her phone and put it back exactly where it had been. When Isabella came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel and smiling at me like nothing was wrong, I smiled back. I went to work. I sat through meetings. I nodded at the right times. And the whole day I felt like I was watching my life from outside my body. We had been married for 12 years, together for 15, high school sweethearts if you want the full cliché version. Isabella was the girl everyone wanted to date and somehow I was the one she chose. Benjamin was my younger brother by 3 years. Growing up we were close, not best friends exactly but solid. The kind of brothers who would help each other move apartments and loan each other money and show up at family dinners. He had been the best man at our wedding. The affair had probably been going on for months. Maybe longer. Looking back I could see the signs, but at the time I had explained them all away. Isabella started going to the gym more often. She bought new clothes. She was on her phone constantly. She started picking fights over small things, the toilet seat, the dishes, how I chewed my food. I thought we were just going through a rough patch. Every marriage has them, right? You work through it, you communicate, you try harder. Benjamin had gotten divorced 2 years earlier. His wife left him for someone she met at work and he took it hard. He started coming around more often, dropping by for dinner, joining us for movies, asking if he could crash on our couch when he said his apartment felt too empty. Isabella and I had felt sorry for him. We wanted to help. We wanted to be there for family. What kind of person would I be if I turned my back on my own brother when he was struggling? I started paying attention after I saw those messages, really paying attention. I noticed how Isabella would light up when Benjamin texted, how she would disappear into the bedroom to take certain calls, how she had started wearing perfume even when we were just staying home, how Benjamin always seemed to have a reason to stop by when I was working late, how they would share little jokes I was not part of, how their eyes would meet across the table and hold just a second too long. The worst part was not the betrayal itself. The worst part was realizing I had been living in a lie for months and everyone around me could probably see it except me. The worst part was knowing that when she kissed me goodbye in the mornings, she was thinking about him. When she said I love you at night, she was practicing the words for someone else. When we made love, she was somewhere else entirely. I hired a private investigator. I know that sounds dramatic, but I needed proof. Real proof, not just text messages that could be explained away. The investigator was a middle-aged woman named Carol who had kind eyes and had probably seen this exact situation 1,000 times before. She did not judge. She just took notes and told me it would take about 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks were the longest of my life. I went through the motions. I went to work, I came home, I had dinner with my wife, I smiled, I laughed at her jokes, I asked about her day, and every single moment I was screaming inside. Every single moment I wanted to grab her by the shoulders and demand the truth, but I waited. I needed to know everything before I made my move. Carol called me on a Friday afternoon. She had photos, videos, documentation of Isabella and Benjamin meeting at hotels, going to restaurants in the next town over where they thought no one would recognize them, holding hands in his car, kissing in parking lots. The evidence was overwhelming. It was also devastating. Seeing it in photos made it real in a way the text messages had not. But here is where the story gets complicated. Here is where I made the decision that would define everything that came after. I did not confront them, not yet, because Carol had also uncovered something else. Something Isabella did not know I knew. Benjamin had been talking to a lawyer about my finances, about our assets, about how much Isabella could get in a divorce. They had a plan. Isabella was going to wait until after our 15th anniversary. In our state, 15 years of marriage meant permanent alimony, lifetime payments. She was going to divorce me right after we hit that mark and take half of everything plus a monthly check for the rest of her life, or until she remarried, which of course she would not do officially because that would end the alimony. She and Benjamin would just live together, common law, using my money to fund their happy ending. I sat in my car outside Carol's office and stared at those documents for an hour. I felt sick. I felt angry. I felt betrayed in ways I did not know were possible, but mostly I felt stupid. How had I not seen this? How had I trusted these people so completely? If you are invested in what happens next, please hit that like button and subscribe. It means the world to me and helps me share more stories like this. Now back to what happened. I called my own lawyer that same day. Her name was Margaret, and she was exactly the kind of person you want in your corner during a divorce. Sharp, strategic, no nonsense. I showed her everything: the photos, the financial documents, the text messages. She leaned back in her chair and shook her head. Margaret told me I had options. We could file for divorce immediately based on adultery. In our state, that would affect the asset division and eliminate alimony entirely. Isabella would get nothing beyond the base division of property, or I could play the long game. I could let Isabella think her plan was working. I could wait until right before the 15-year mark and file first. Either way, I would come out ahead because I had proof of the affair. But Margaret also told me something I had not considered. If I filed for divorce, it would destroy my relationship with Benjamin permanently. My whole family would be torn apart. My parents were elderly and this would devastate them. My sister would be forced to choose sides. Every holiday, every family event, every milestone would be tainted by this betrayal. Was I prepared for that? I went home that night and looked at Isabella. Really looked at her. She was making dinner and humming along to some song on the radio. She smiled when she saw me, asked about my day, kissed my cheek, and I realized something horrible. She was not a monster. She was just a person who had fallen out of love with me and made terrible choices. She was someone who had convinced herself that what she was doing was justified somehow, that I deserved it. That she deserved happiness even if it meant destroying me. I made my decision that night. I would wait. I would play the game. I would let Isabella think everything was going according to her plan, and then at the last possible moment I would file for divorce and take her by surprise. It was petty. It was vengeful. It was not the high road, but it was what I needed to do. The next 6 months were surreal. I knew everything but pretended to know nothing. Isabella continued the affair. Benjamin continued coming around acting like my concerned brother. They continued making plans for their future together using my money, and I continued being the devoted husband. I bought flowers. I planned date nights. I told Isabella I wanted to make our marriage stronger, that I wanted us to reconnect. She ate it up. She probably thought she was so clever, keeping me happy and compliant while she ran out the clock. She probably told Benjamin how easy I was to manipulate, how trusting, how naive. I wonder if they laughed about it together. I used that time to prepare. I moved money into accounts Isabella did not know about, nothing illegal, just protecting assets that were rightfully mine. I documented everything, every lie, every secret meeting. Every time she said she was at the gym but was really at a hotel, I built an airtight case. I also started going to therapy. I needed someone to talk to, and it could not be anyone in my life. My therapist was a man named Dr. Roberts who specialized in trauma and betrayal. He helped me understand that what I was feeling was normal. The anger, the sadness, the desire for revenge. He also helped me see that I needed to grieve. Grieve the marriage I thought I had. Grieve the brother I thought I knew. Grieve the life I had been building that was all based on lies. Dr. Roberts asked me once if I still loved Isabella. I thought about it for a long time. The honest answer was complicated. I loved who I thought she was. I loved our memories together, even though now they were all tainted. I loved the version of our life that existed in my head, but did I love the real Isabella? The woman who could lie to my face every single day? The woman who could sleep with my brother and then come home and sleep in my bed? No, I did not love that person. I did not even know that person. Our 15th anniversary was on a Saturday in June. Isabella had been acting extra sweet all week. She bought a new dress, made reservations at an expensive restaurant, talked about how far we had come and how much she loved me. Every word was poison. Every smile was a knife. I filed for divorce on the Friday before our anniversary. I had everything ready. The papers were served to Isabella at her office at 10 in the morning. I had them served to Benjamin at the same time at his apartment. I wanted them to find out simultaneously. I wanted them to panic. I was not there when Isabella got the papers, but Carol had someone watching. Isabella apparently went pale, started shaking, made frantic calls that went straight to voicemail because Benjamin was dealing with his own papers. She left work early, came home and found me sitting in the living room with my lawyer. Isabella tried to play innocent at first, asked what this was about, said there must be some mistake, but Margaret just opened her briefcase and started laying out photos on the coffee table. Isabella and Benjamin at hotels, Isabella and Benjamin kissing, text messages printed out and highlighted, financial documents showing their planning. I will never forget the look on Isabella's face. It was not sadness. It was not guilt. It was rage, pure rage that she had been caught, that her plan had failed. She started yelling, accusing me of spying, of violating her privacy, of being controlling and paranoid. She never once apologized. She never once showed remorse. She just attacked. Benjamin showed up an hour later, letting himself in with the key I had given him years ago because he was family. He walked into a war zone. Isabella was crying on the couch. Margaret was calmly explaining exactly how much Isabella would be getting in the divorce, which was almost nothing, and I was sitting there watching my life implode. Benjamin tried the brother card, tried to appeal to family loyalty, tried to say we could work this out like adults. I looked at him and felt nothing. This person who shared my blood, who I had trusted completely, who had been sleeping with my wife and plotting to steal my money, I told him to get out. I told him if he ever contacted me again, I would file harassment charges. I told him he was dead to me. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. Isabella fought it at first, tried to claim the evidence was obtained illegally, tried to argue for alimony anyway, but she had no case. The affair was documented. The financial plotting was documented. Her lawyer eventually convinced her to take the settlement offer before it got worse. I kept the house. Isabella got her car and half of our savings, which was not much because I had been smart about protecting assets. She got no alimony, no monthly checks, no security blanket funded by my guilt and her betrayal. She moved in with Benjamin 2 weeks after the divorce was final. They lasted 6 months before breaking up. Turns out a relationship built on lies and betrayal does not have a strong foundation. Who knew? My family fractured exactly like I knew it would. My parents were devastated. My mother cried for weeks. My father stopped speaking to Benjamin entirely. My sister tried to stay neutral but eventually sided with me because the evidence was too overwhelming. Benjamin became the black sheep, the cautionary tale, the reminder that family loyalty goes both ways. I ran into Isabella about a year after the divorce. She was at a coffee shop looking tired and older than she should. We made eye contact. She looked away. Part of me wanted to say something cruel, to twist the knife, to make her feel a fraction of what she had put me through, but mostly I just felt sad, sad for the time wasted, sad for the trust destroyed, sad for the life we could have had if she had just been honest. I am in a better place now. It took time. It took therapy. It took letting go of the anger. I dated a few people but nothing serious. I am learning to trust again, learning to be vulnerable again, learning that not everyone is going to betray me the way Isabella and Benjamin did. I think about that Tuesday morning sometimes, when I found those text messages, when my world shifted on its axis. If I could go back and change it, would I choose to never look at that phone, to never know, to keep living in the comfortable lie? The answer is no, because the truth matters even when it hurts, even when it destroys everything you thought you knew. The truth matters. What Isabella and Benjamin did taught me something important. It taught me that love without respect is worthless, that trust once broken is almost impossible to rebuild, that family loyalty has limits, that people will justify anything if it serves their interests. These are hard lessons, bitter lessons, but necessary ones. I also learned that I am stronger than I thought, that I can survive betrayal, that I can rebuild, that I can start over at 40 years old and create a new life, a better life, an honest life. I learned that closure is not something someone gives you, it is something you give yourself. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all, it is simply living well. Isabella texts me sometimes, usually late at night. Usually after she has been drinking, she apologizes. She says she was confused. She says she made a mistake. She says she still loves me. I do not respond. There is nothing left to say. That chapter of my life is closed. She made her choices. She lived with the consequences. And I moved on. Benjamin tried to reach out once through our sister, said he wanted to apologize, wanted to make amends, wanted to be brothers again. I declined. Some things cannot be forgiven. Some betrayals are too deep. Some wounds do not heal. Maybe that makes me bitter. Maybe that makes me unforgiving, but it also makes me human. I think the hardest part of the whole experience was accepting that I never really knew Isabella at all. 15 years together, and she was able to lie to me every single day without flinching. She was able to plan my financial ruin while kissing me goodnight. She was able to sleep in my bed while loving someone else. That takes a level of deception I cannot comprehend. It takes a coldness I hope I never understand. But it also taught me to pay attention, to trust my instincts, to not ignore red flags because I want to believe the best in people, to understand that love is not enough, that commitment is not enough, that history is not enough. You need honesty, you need respect, you need someone who values you as much as you value them. I have a new relationship now. Her name is Sarah and she is nothing like Isabella. She is direct, she is honest, she is incapable of playing games. When she is upset she tells me, when she is happy she tells me, when she needs space she tells me. There are no guessing games, no hidden agendas, no secrets. It is refreshing in a way I did not know relationships could be. Sarah knows my whole story. I told her on our third date because I needed her to understand why I might have trust issues, why I might need reassurance sometimes, why certain things might trigger me. She listened without judgment. She thanked me for being honest. And she promised that if she ever stopped loving me, she would tell me instead of cheating. It sounds like a low bar, but after Isabella, it felt like everything. Looking back now 3 years after the divorce, I can see how much I have grown. I can see how much stronger I am, how much wiser, how much more careful with my heart. Some people might see that as damage, as being broken, but I see it as learning, as evolution, as becoming the person I was always meant to be. I do not hate Isabella anymore. I do not hate Benjamin anymore. Hate takes energy and I do not have any to spare for them. They made their choices, they live with those choices, and I live with mine. We are all just people stumbling through life trying to find happiness. They looked for it in the wrong places. They hurt people along the way, but they are not villains in some story. They are just flawed humans like everyone else. The saddest part is not the betrayal. The saddest part is what we lost. Isabella and I had good years together, real years, years of laughter and adventure and growth. Those years are now tainted by what came after, but they still existed. They still mattered, and losing that, losing the ability to look back on our time together with anything but pain, that is the real tragedy. I wonder sometimes what would have happened if Isabella had just been honest with me. If she had come to me 2 years before the divorce and said she was unhappy, that she had feelings for someone else, that she wanted out, would I have been hurt? Absolutely. Would I have been angry? Probably, but would I have respected her more? Without question. We could have ended things with dignity, with honesty, with the respect that 15 years together deserved. Instead, she chose deception. She chose manipulation. She chose to keep me in the dark while she planned her exit strategy. And in doing so, she destroyed not just our marriage, but any chance of us being civil afterward, any chance of remaining friends, any chance of me remembering our time together with fondness instead of bitterness. I hope she thinks about that sometimes. I hope she realizes what she lost, not just me, not just the financial security she was counting on, but the chance to end things like adults, the chance to part ways with respect intact, the chance to look back without shame. Those things matter, maybe not as much as love, maybe not as much as happiness, but they matter. As for Benjamin, I have nothing to say. He was my brother, now he is nothing. A stranger who shares some of my DNA, a cautionary tale I tell at therapy. A chapter of my life that is permanently closed. I do not wish him ill, I do not wish him well, I simply do not wish him anything at all. My life now is quiet, peaceful, honest. I have a job I enjoy, a woman I love who loves me back, friends who proved their loyalty during the divorce. A family that, while smaller, is stronger for the pruning. I have learned to be happy again, to trust again, to believe in love again. It took time, it took work, but I got there. If there is any lesson in this story, it is this. Pay attention to your life, pay attention to the people in it, trust your instincts, do not ignore red flags, do not make excuses for bad behavior. And if someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. I ignored so many signs because I wanted to believe in the version of Isabella I had in my head. I wanted to believe in the sanctity of marriage. I wanted to believe that love conquers all. But love does not conquer all. Love without honesty is just a beautiful lie. Love without respect is just pretty words. Love without commitment is just a feeling that will fade. Real love, lasting love, the kind of love worth fighting for, that takes work. That takes both people showing up every day and choosing each other. That takes honesty even when it is hard. That takes communication even when it is uncomfortable. Isabella and I did not have that. Maybe we never did. Maybe those 15 years were just two people going through the motions, playing house, pretending. I will never know for sure. All I know is that I deserved better. I deserved honesty. I deserved respect. I deserved a partner who valued me enough to tell me the truth, even if that truth was I do not love you anymore. So to anyone reading this who is in a relationship that feels off, who has a partner whose behavior has changed, Who has that nagging feeling in their gut that something is wrong? Trust that feeling, investigate, ask questions, demand honesty. And if you discover betrayal, do not make excuses for it. Do not rationalize it. Do not accept promises that things will change. Protect yourself, get proof, hire a lawyer, and walk away with your dignity intact. You deserve better than what Isabella gave me. You deserve better than what Benjamin gave me. You deserve a partner who chooses you every single day, who is honest with you even when it is hard, who respects you enough to end things properly if the love fades. That is not too much to ask. That is the bare minimum. And if someone cannot give you that bare minimum, then they do not deserve you. If you've ever felt like your trust was shattered, remember that healing is possible, and sometimes justice does prevail, even against the most cunning schemes. What's one lesson betrayal taught you that changed your life for the better, helping you rebuild and find your own peace? What are your thoughts? Share your stories and advice below.